A briefing begins about approaching Harran and a subject named Kadir Suleiman, a local political figure. His brother Hassan died in a disease-related incident before evacuation. Suleiman blames the GRE for Hassan's death and stole a sensitive file as leverage against them, threatening to publish it if harmed. The stolen file contains an incomplete process for synthesizing a virus cure. In its current state, the substance produced would be extremely toxic. The file also contains the variant structure description, and any attempt to use it would result in countless lost lives. It must be recovered. Suleiman sent the file to an unknown associate with instructions to publish it at his command. To prevent this, a citywide communication jam was instituted. The GRE radio can overcome the jamming and serves as a vital lifeline. Suleiman has gone underground, using a different name. Suleiman now leads one of the two main factions in the city. The mission is to find him and locate the stolen file to save mankind from disaster. The protagonist experiences a rough landing and is attacked. Someone named Amir is killed, while the protagonist is injured with a head wound and bite. Jade reports to Tower about bringing in someone who might survive. After sleeping for 3 days, the protagonist wakes up in a shelter called the Tower, established by Brecken and his runners. He learns he's now known as Number 31, and that his Antizin was crushed in the incident. The protagonist meets Rahim, who explains the tower serves as a base for scavenging, hunting airdrops, and rescuing people. Rahim sends the protagonist to help recover a lost guy on the 13th floor. The protagonist reports to his actual handlers, revealing he's undercover but has been bitten. On the 13th floor, the protagonist finds a man injured while escaping from his infected brother. He helps treat the wound with gauze and alcohol until a woman named Lena arrives to provide medical care. Rahim praises the protagonist's efforts and begins to trust him. Jade confronts Rahim about dangerous plans involving explosives. She reveals she's Rahim's sister and their mother is dead. Jade asks the protagonist to keep her brother from killing himself. Rahim then directs the protagonist to change clothes for a job Brecken wants him to do. Rahim takes the protagonist to the gym on the top floor to test his parkour skills. He demonstrates techniques for running, jumping, and navigating difficult terrain to evade zombies. The protagonist shows exceptional natural talent, but suddenly experiences his first seizure, indicating infection progression. After the seizure, Rahim advises seeing Dr. Zara for a checkup and likely an antizin shot. Before that, the protagonist needs to visit the quartermaster for gear to go outside safely. The quartermaster explains the tower residents are suspicious of newcomers, but helping with supplies from airdrops will change their attitudes. A dangerous situation is unfolding where many lives have already been lost. A character named Crane is directed to Dr. Zara's location, which is set up in a semi-trailer on a fenced playing court south of the tower. The area is clearly hazardous, requiring careful navigation. Dr. Zare explains that Antizin merely postpones the inevitable effects of a rabies variation infection. There is currently no cure, but Zare has been conducting tests on both Antizin and infected tissue, believing a cure is possible with Dr. Camden's help. Camden is trapped in Sector 0, the outbreak's origin point, and they collaborate via radio. Zare describes previous failed experiments where he injected recombined virus versions into meat chunks and placed them around the city, hoping infected would consume them for observation. This unsuccessful approach wasted valuable time and resources. After examining Crane, Zare administers another Antizin shot. After being checked by Zare, Crane is directed to Spike for his first real assignment. Spike explains there are two types of airdrops, one containing food and supplies, the other containing vital Antizin. The problem is that Rize's thugs keep raiding the Antizin drops during daylight hours. Spike reveals that 2 Antizin drops are coming at sunset. Brecken plans to retrieve them, which is dangerous as nighttime excursions are normally fatal. Spike has prepared safe zones and traps to help ensure Brecken's team survives. Crane's mission is to arm these traps before nightfall. Jade contacts Crane about an emergency situation. One of their runners is trapped in a courtyard surrounded by zombies. Crane responds to help, but arrives too late as the runner has already transformed. Crane is then instructed to turn on lights to make the area safe at night. Crane reports to his handlers about Dr. Zier, revealing he has a secondary objective to secure the doctor's research while maintaining his cover. His primary mission involves recovering a stolen file. The handlers consider Zier's work unlikely to produce significant results, but want any findings. After securing the safe zone, Jade thanks Crane. Spike directs him back to arming traps, advising him to stay on rooftops to avoid infected on the streets. When Crane encounters masses of infected, Spike suggests using firecrackers as distractions. An unexpected power outage complicates the mission. Spike provides Crane with a UV flashlight and remote control for traps after his successful night mission. Despite Crane's efforts, Brecken's mission failed. Jade has called all scouts back to the tower, including Crane, creating an opportunity for him to meet and identify Brecken. Crane learns that Brecken lost his team during an airdrop mission when they were ambushed by Rize's men who stole the supplies. Despite being injured, Brecken wants to personally retrieve the next drop. Jade opposes this plan, and Crane volunteers to go instead, despite Brecken's concerns about his inexperience. Lena informs Crane that Brecken's head injury is worse than publicly known, causing seizures. She needs Crane to find anti-seizure medication from a man named Ghazi, who may have stockpiled his deceased mother's epilepsy medicine. Ghazi lives under the overpass and doesn't acknowledge his mother's death. Crane reports to his handlers that Brecken is not their target, suggesting a local warlord called Rais as the likely suspect. Rais hoards Antizin and sells it at inflated prices. Crane's current mission is to retrieve Antizin from an airdrop before Rize's men can get to it. Jade instructs Crane to start his search in the cauldron where most airdrops land. Crane finds an empty crate, the 4 spotting 2 other drops. When Rize's men secure the first one, Crane races to reach the second drop despite Jade's warning about the approaching sunset and the dangers of night. As Crane is about to recover an Antizin drop, his handlers reveal a shocking new directive. If he finds Antizin, he should destroy it. This unexpected order suggests a complex strategy targeting Rize, whom they suspect is their primary person of interest. A mission is proposed to interact with Rize as an ambassador under Brecken's authority. The plan is justified as being for the greater good, despite potential dangers, with a focus on helping civilians who depend on certain supplies. Upon reaching the airdrop location, disappointment ensues when no Antizin is found. This discovery triggers frustration and concern, as it appears enemies may have heard the searchers' reaction. After surviving a dangerous nighttime run similar to Brecken's experience, there's the difficult task of reporting the absence of Antizin. Though uncomfortable with deception, the mission continues with belief in working toward a greater good. A heated discussion about obtaining Antizin from Rize reveals deep concerns. Despite resistance from others, a volunteer steps forward to handle the negotiation, leveraging their unfamiliarity to Rize as an advantage for a clean approach. In a private conversation, Brecken confirms the volunteer's readiness for the dangerous mission. Instructions are provided to assess what Rize will demand in exchange for Antizin, with emphasis on returning safely. Brecken's desperation drives him to consider dealing with Rise, a dangerous individual. This presents an opportunity to determine if Rise stole important documents while securing vital Antizin supplies. Jade radios in to express appreciation for the dangerous mission being undertaken. She mentions a mere sacrifice and acknowledges that the mission represents redemption. The mission's purpose is reinforced as preventing deaths for securing Antizin. Upon arrival at the destination, Rahim provides guidance on making presence known. An armed encounter follows, where intentions to meet with Rise are stated, mentioning Brecken's name to gain access past initial resistance. Inside Rize's domain, a disturbing scene unfolds where Rize punishes someone named Osman for alleged theft. Rize recognizes the visitor from the tower and discusses a potential deal for Antizin, directing them to work with Karim. After meeting Rize, who is identified as both a psychopath and the GRE's rogue operative, cooperation becomes necessary despite distaste for him. This collaboration is driven by the dual purpose of completing the mission and accessing Rize's substantial Antizin stockpile. The protagonist encounters explosive infected creatures called bombers that can destroy other infected within a 3-meter radius when shot. Karim instructs the protagonist to seek a man named Gursel in a nearby village after confirming the courier wasn't found. Upon reaching the village, the protagonist clears out infected hordes before locating Gursel. The protagonist confronts Gursel to collect payment for Rais. Despite resistance from Gursal's companion Ayla, who urges someone named Furkan to fight back, Gursal reluctantly hands over all their money. The protagonist expresses self-hatred over the extortion, but continues to the next collection point at the old Pirri ferry station as instructed by Karim. At the ferry station, the protagonist demands payment from residents who complain they've already paid and received no protection from Rais in return. After threatening to set the place on fire, the protagonist collects money from a satchel. When expressing reluctance about the task, the resident points out that despite this claimed reluctance, the protagonist is still carrying out Rice's orders. Craig reports an infection outbreak on the 18th floor at the tower. Before returning with collections, Karim directs the protagonist to find a missing patrol near the market. The patrol is discovered brutally killed, and the protagonist recovers valuable blueprints from the bodies before returning them to Karim, who praises the protagonist's reliability compared to others. Rais preaches about showing no compassion to avoid appearing weak. When the protagonist delivers the collections and demands the promised 2 crates of Antizin, Rais offers only 5 vials. He presents an ultimatum: bring Jade Aldemir to fight in his arena for more medication. The protagonist refuses, causing conflict with superiors who insist the mission must be completed regardless of moral concerns. The city loses gas supply, and the protagonist is asked to find Jeff, the irreplaceable gas specialist. Meanwhile, Jade reports an outbreak on the 18th floor, requiring the protagonist to return with the limited Antizin immediately. Upon arrival, the protagonist learns the outbreak claimed several lives, including children, after Brecken attempted to save everyone instead of containing the situation. Brecken reveals he's merely a parkour instructor, not prepared to lead the survivors, and considers letting someone else take charge. The protagonist convinces him to hold on while seeking another solution. Later, Rahim shares a plan to destroy a volatile nest in a skyscraper using explosives, which would make night missions safer and enable more Antizin gathering. The protagonist contacts superiors requesting resumption of Antizin drops near the tower to help the struggling survivors, but is reminded their mission is to recover a specific file, not provide humanitarian aid. A tense negotiation occurs regarding Rize's proposal. One party requests skills and a new environment, in exchange for providing anti-seizure medication. However, the other party refuses, citing strained relations with the ministry that make resuming airdrops politically disadvantageous. This leads to frustration about a file that one person agrees to locate but wants to review before deciding what to do with it. Jade contacts someone seeking help. She explains that Rise has converted an abandoned school into a supply dump, potentially storing anti-seizure medication. She proposes sneaking in together to obtain the necessary medicine for the tower. The other person agrees to meet her in one of the boxcars on the train trestle near the school. Jade mentions an alternative option if they don't find the medication. Upon arrival at the school, they observe Tyre's men removing boxes from the building. While investigating, they witness Tahir, described as someone who should die in a fire, execute some survivors. They decide to enter the school separately using different entrances to cover more ground while making less noise. The search continues inside the school, focusing on classrooms as the most likely storage location for supplies. They believe any military supplies should be clearly marked. As they search, they overhear someone mentioning the basement and realize they need to find a key. Meanwhile, bandits become aware of intruders and begin searching for them. During their search, they discover not anti-seizure medication, but plastic explosives. One person insists the other take the explosives back to the tower while they stay behind to deal with the bandits. Despite objections, they agree to this plan with a promise to keep Rahim away from the volatile hive. Back at the tower, Rahim is excited about the explosives discovered. He reveals that Jade gave them to Saeed, a former Bond Squad member. Rahim wants to participate in destroying the volatile nest, and despite reluctance, they reach a deal where they will proceed together once Saeed finishes with the charges. A conversation with doctors reveals information about unique infected creatures called bolters that appear at night and avoid humans. Dr. Zara requests a fresh tissue sample from one, suggesting it might be related to experimental bait he previously placed. The quartermaster provides locations where bolters have been spotted. After obtaining and delivering the bolter sample to Dr. Zara and Dr. Camden, they discover it tests positive for a recombined virus. This breakthrough could explain the various mutations, but sharing the extensive data between locations is impossible through radio. A proposal is made to deliver the research and samples by hand, despite the extreme danger. A crisis erupts when Rahim and Omar take the explosives to destroy the nest without authorization. The situation goes wrong, and Omar is killed. Brecken is furious upon learning about the stolen explosives and demands Rahim be found. A search of the overpass reveals Omar's body, but no sign of Rahim. Rahim is finally found injured but alive. He has already armed the bombs, which will detonate in less than 5 minutes. Despite being wounded, he insists it's just a cut and urges the bombs be planted. He indicates a sewer entrance in the terminal near the west wall that leads directly to the hive, providing an escape route. The events continue with a character navigating through a culvert into a building, following specific instructions to set up explosives. After successfully placing them, they move to a higher floor for the next placement. The explosives detonate successfully, bringing down an entire building in an impressive display of destruction. A tragic encounter occurs with Rahim, who attacks the protagonist. It's revealed Rahim had been bitten and lied about it, wanting to complete the building demolition mission before turning. The protagonist is forced to kill Rahim after he transforms. This devastating loss must now somehow be explained to Jade, Rahim's sister. Jade learns about Rahim's death and needs space to grieve. Meanwhile, a new crisis erupts as Zara is kidnapped by bandits. His trailer is set on fire and he's taken to Rais garrison. Brecken orders the protagonist to rescue Zara, emphasizing his importance as a researcher working on a potential cure. The situation escalates when the protagonist contacts the GRE for support, but discovers the Ministry of Defense has taken over. They plan to bomb Harran in 48 hours to prevent virus spread, despite thousands of innocent civilians remaining. The protagonist pleads for time, mentioning Zara's promising cure research. Upon finding Zara, the protagonist learns he's already given his research packages to Jade for delivery to Dr. Camden. Before they can escape, Rais ambushes them. Zara and the protagonist are captured and taken to a fighting pit where Rais forces the protagonist to battle infected while taunting him. Rais reveals disturbing information. The GRE plans to weaponize the virus rather than cure it, motivated by profit rather than saving lives. Rais orders the protagonist's execution, but they escape with Zara. Unfortunately, Zara doesn't survive, but confirms his research is with Jade. After escaping, the protagonist learns Jade took Zara's research to Dr. Camden, whose lab has been compromised. Camden flooded his lab with infected and barricaded himself inside. Communication with Camden has been lost, and the protagonist must reach Sector 0 to help. The protagonist seeks help from a smuggling group called the Saviors at Nico's bar. Initially unwelcoming, they become cooperative upon learning the protagonist attacked Rais. The Saviors agree to help reach Sector 0 without payment, appreciating what was done to Rais. Guided by Harran of the Saviors, the protagonist begins the journey through sewers to Sector 0. Though the route is marked and supposedly clear, some infected may remain in the passage. Despite others waiting longer, the protagonist is prioritized to go through the escape route first. The speaker admits to being forced into betrayal by someone named Rize, who has leverage over them. They did what they felt was necessary, noting the unforgiving nature of their world. They appear to be searching for something or someone, but cannot find it. The speaker, identified as Crane, contacts Bracken via radio to warn that the Saviors have betrayed him to Rize. Bracken advises Crane to contact Troy when he reaches Sector 0, describing her as his only ally there. Crane expresses frustration about the Saviors' alliance with Rize and their ambush that he narrowly escaped. Crane attempts to contact Jade via radio, but receives no response. He then successfully reaches Troy, who confirms she can hear him. Troy directs Crane to their location, described as a loft near two towers of unequal height with scaffolding. Crane also makes contact with Dr. Camden. Dr. Camden explains he's barricaded himself in his lab for protection from Rize's thugs. Crane informs Camden that he needs to find Jade and recover research from someone called Zero before coming to him. Camden acknowledges and advises caution. Crane meets Michael and Savvy, associates of Troy. Savvy describes himself as the technical expert and mentions he's working on breaking through communication jamming. They introduce Crane to Troy, who helps him contact Jade via radio. When Troy connects Crane with Jade, he confesses his employment by the GRE to find a classified file. He reveals the ministry plans to firebomb the city, but is waiting for research Jade has. Jade responds with anger, calling him a bastard. Troy informs Crane that Jade was last at the university east of their location. Troy tells Crane that Savvy is working on breaking through radio jamming to contact the outside world. She warns about increasingly dangerous mutations among the infected and advises avoiding them. Crane begins searching for Jade, asking people if they've seen her. Crane learns from someone that Jade has recently left, but left behind a mirror for him with the message, "Not again." Unable to understand the meaning, Crane tries contacting Jade and then Troy, who urgently summons him back to their base. At the base, Troy shows Crane news footage revealing a GRE conspiracy to weaponize the Harran virus rather than cure it. More disturbing news indicates the military claims no survivors remain in the quarantine zone, setting the stage for the ministry to destroy the city. Troy explains they had planned to signal the outside world by setting explosives in a pattern that zombies couldn't create. Their runner, Michael, couldn't reach the upper floors due to infected. Crane volunteers to complete the mission to prevent everyone from being bombed. Crane travels to meet Michael, who admits he volunteered for the dangerous mission to impress Troy. Michael explains Crane must plant explosives and activate gas ovens in specific apartments to create a distinctive pattern visible from outside Harran. While placing explosives on the 10th floor, Crane encounters difficulties, including damaged infrastructure and disturbing sounds of a crying child. Meanwhile, Michael faces danger below. Despite completing the task, Michael is attacked and instructs Crane to take the detonator. After successfully detonating the explosives, Crane reestablishes contact with Jade, who acknowledges his actions. They plan to meet at a red building on Emerald Canal after learning Savvy has found a way to break through the communication jamming. Crane informs Troy that Rise has captured Jade and is holding her at a museum. Troy warns that the museum is fortress-like and would be dangerous to approach directly. She suggests contacting Tariq, the museum curator, who might know about hidden dungeons beneath the fortress that could provide a stealthy entry point. In a post-apocalyptic setting, someone is advised to find new weapons for survival. Tariq, a nervous man caring for a child, is approached by someone sent by Troy. Though Tariq expected help with the child, the visitor reveals they need access to the museum instead. Tariq, formerly the curator, warns that Rais controls the museum and would kill intruders on sight. Tariq suggests an underwater entrance through Emerald Pond as the only option, despite the drowning risk. The visitor decides to chance it, since Jade is being held hostage at the museum, which was originally built as a fortress and now serves as Rais's main outpost in Sector 0. After successfully infiltrating the museum, Troy offers little encouragement beyond wishing good luck. Inside, Rais confronts the intruder, revealing he took Jade in retaliation for something previously taken from him. The intruder threatens to take Rhea's other hand unless Jade is released. Rais commands his men to attack, leading to a confrontation. Despite obstacles, the intruder eventually reaches Jade, who has been knocked unconscious by Tahir. Rais reveals he's been monitoring everyone through repaired antennas, allowing him to locate Jade, Dr. Camden, and break connections between sectors. With Dr. Zare's research in his possession, Rais no longer needs Jade or Crane. Tahir attacks, while Rais taunts Crane about his weakness, framing the situation as a character-building exercise. As they're fighting their way out, Crane discovers Jade was bitten and infected hours ago. Rais presents a cruel choice. Both are infected, but they have only one dose of Antizin. Crane offers it to Jade, but she refuses, making him promise to kill her when she turns. In a hallucinatory sequence, Jade speaks to Crane about life's finite nature and the importance of making one's time count. Jade reminisces about her life as a premature baby who fought to survive, becoming a champion known as the Scorpion. She wants her sacrifice to mean something. Crane is forced to kill Jade after she turns, fulfilling his promise. Rais mocks Crane for having the choice made for him. A brutal fight ensues with Tahir, ending with Crane killing him. Crane recovers tissue samples, but realizes they're missing another package. He contacts Troy to report Jade's sacrifice and learns he needs to amplify a signal to break through jamming. Troy directs him to meet at a safe zone to pick up an amplifier created by Savvy. Crane also contacts Dr. Camden about bringing Dr. Zara's tissue samples later. Troy explains Crane must install the amplifier at the highest possible point, using the sewers as the fastest route to the giant antenna tower. With Savvy's guidance, Crane navigates through containers to find a keycard, accesses the substation, and powers up the antenna despite challenges including a snapped cable. Reaching the top, Crane broadcasts a crucial message revealing Colonel Tanner and the Ministry of Defense are planning to firebomb Harran despite survivors still being inside. His message gets through, with responses indicating people outside heard him. Shortly after, someone contacts Crane, offering extraction via helicopter if he brings Dr. Zara's research, but Crane recognizes their intent to exploit the virus. Kyle Crane has uncovered that the GRE wants Dr. Zara's research to fabricate a narrative that they've been working on a cure rather than profiting from the outbreak. Crane refuses to comply with their plans, having alternative intentions for the research. Crane contacts Dr. Camden, informing him that he'll be bringing Zara samples despite being surrounded by infected. Camden directs Crane through security cameras to use the elevator to reach the bottom floor where the lab is located. Camden provides background information while guiding Crane, mentioning that he and Zara were studying the Varan virus for the GRE. The facility is running on backup power with minimal functionality because generators overheated during Camden's last experiment. Camden directs Crane through the main corridor toward the lab on the left. He explains that Kadir Suleiman, Rais, was supposed to protect them during the quarantine, but turned into a monster after his brother's death. Crane must restore full power to run the decontamination protocol. Camden reveals that he, Zara, and another GRE operative similar to Crane tried to evacuate but got separated. Camden ended up at the clinic, while Zara and the operative joined Brecken's group. After completing the power restoration, Crane meets Camden in person and shows him the photo. Camden recognizes the person as Amir Qureshi, the GRE operative who helped them. Camden warns Crane that the GRE's public image is a lie and they're heartless. Crane confirms to others that Camden was excited about Zara's samples and believes there's hope for a cure if he can get the rest of the data. Camden reiterates his warning about the GRE, and Crane acknowledges the danger. Rais contacts Crane, taunting him about Jade's death and challenging him to a confrontation. Rais reveals he's made a deal with the GRE and has acquired Zara's research data, planning to escape Harran via helicopter. Crane pursues Rais through a building rigged with mines. Rais continues to taunt Crane through a loudspeaker system while launching attacks. After navigating through obstacles, Crane finally confronts Rais face to face. In their final confrontation, Rais holds the critical research disk, claiming billions of lives depend on it. Despite Rais's provocations to kill him, Crane refuses and instead fights to retrieve the disk, eventually succeeding after a struggle. GRE agents approach Crane, attempting to convince him to hand over the research and leave with them. Crane refuses, stating he no longer sees his mission as just a job and will decide what to do with the research on his own terms. Camden contacts Crane with news that the analysis of the tissue samples yielded phenomenal results, reinforcing that a cure is within reach if they can recover the rest of Zara's data. As night falls, a broadcast advises everyone to seek shelter until dawn. A map found on a dying man reveals a potential way out of Harran. Crane discusses this with Lena, mentioning that antizin supplies are critically low. The delirious one-eyed patient had spoken truth about an escape route before dying and possibly about people immune to infection. Communication with Lena breaks up as Crane ventures into mountainous terrain. Crane discovers an occupied settlement where he seeks help. After being warned against stealing, he inquires about who's in charge and is directed to someone named Jasir. Upon entering the settlement, Crane witnesses an argument between a father, Jasir, and his child, Eski. When approaching Jasir, Crane explains he's from Harran, seeking information about immunity to the virus. Jasir dismisses Crane's inquiries about immunity, offering only bread and suggesting he return to Harran. Frustrated by the lack of cooperation, Crane attempts to radio Lena but cannot establish connection. A man named Khan approaches Crane, revealing he knew Kurt, the one-eyed man who died. Khan explains that locals belong to a cult led by someone called the Mother. Khan offers Crane a partnership, information in exchange for help as a driver, suggesting they could find a vehicle at a nearby farm. However, Khan fails to mention the farm is an abandoned outpost, likely harboring dangers. When Crane returns with a vehicle, he discovers Khan has been forced to leave the settlement. Eski introduces herself to Crane, suggesting he must prove himself by helping the community before earning their trust. She reveals their water supply is contaminated and directs him to follow a pipeline into bandit territory where previous volunteers never returned. Crane encounters bandits selling water at extortionate prices. Crane meets Ali, the sole survivor of a group sent to fix the water supply. They work together to restore water flow by locating and opening valves while battling bandits. Their success brings clean water back to the settlement, earning Crane respect from the community, including Jasir, who had previously dismissed him. Jasir reveals that the community relies on faith in the Mother rather than Antizin for protection against infection. The Mother only communicates through priests known as the Faceless, and Crane might gain an audience by doing good deeds for the community. Crane updates Lena about this unusual immunity situation. Crane meets Bilal and his brother Nuri at a gas station. Remarkably, Nuri was bitten 2 months ago but hasn't turned. Bilal offers to maintain Crane's vehicle if he helps with tasks around the community. Bilal directs Crane to find parts from a stranded truck. But during his search, Crane accidentally encounters someone who mistakes him for a thief. Kyle Crane meets Jacob Graves while looking for parts. Graves offers to sell parts, but requires Crane to help first. He asks Crane to deliver a fuse to Ali at the plant to restore power and find a working insulator to prevent the fuse from blowing. The conversation establishes their initial deal and sets up the power restoration mission. Crane encounters a member of the Faceless, a religious group whose prayers supposedly protect the community. When Crane delivers something from Bilal to Ali, Ali explains that the main transfer switch inside the dam needs resetting. The Faceless member continues praying, repeating, "Mother is life, and Mother will help us." Crane enters the dam to throw the switch. Ali communicates that it didn't work and asks him to find the main transfer switch. Suddenly, a Faceless member warns them to evacuate immediately. Ali hides while something horrible happens outside. After confirming safety, they discover the Faceless member died protecting them. After successfully restoring power, Ali decides to stay behind to monitor the equipment. Later, Crane meets another Faceless member who acknowledges him as being on the right path to potentially join their ranks. The member gives Crane something to help in his struggle before departing. Crane speaks with Jasir about bandits who took over Erkan's farm. Jasir suggests speaking with Eski and Polat for information. Polat, though angry about what the bandits did to a girl, reveals a secret entrance to the farm. Crane then meets Eski, who shows him Erkan's traumatized daughter, a victim of the bandits. Crane finds Erkan alive but deeply traumatized, begging to be killed. Despite Crane's attempts to tell him his daughter survived, Erkan remains unresponsive. Crane reports to Jazir, who agrees to send people to retrieve Erkan. Eski expresses suspicion about why Erkan's daughter never mentioned her father's fate. A faceless member acknowledges Crane's help and declares them allies. Crane discovers Erkan has been converted to their religion, now chanting about the mother. A ritualistic ceremony follows, where followers chant prayers. Someone called the Mother appears and presents Crane with a gift. Crane experiences something extraordinary. A biter doesn't attack him. When he regains full consciousness, a faceless explains he was in a trance. His soul and blood have been cleaned, giving temporary resistance to the virus. This protection will last as long as he stays on their path. Crane tries to contact Lena about his immunity experience, but loses connection. At Jazir's farm, people are mysteriously falling ill. Investigating the situation, Crane captures one of Rize's men, who confesses they poisoned the water supply with corpses as part of a plan to loot the community. A tense confrontation occurs where someone is pleading not to be handed over to Jazir, fearing they'll be lynched. Instead of delivering the person to Jazir, a report is made about bandits contaminating the water supply with corpses at the pumping station. Jazir is instructed to clean the bodies and warned not to let anyone drink the contaminated water. Information is shared about Sobak, a former forest ranger, described as brave and comfortable in nature. Initially not a believer in the faceless, he later received the mother's blessing and began helping their community with medicine. Despite living in a remote hut, Sobek fearlessly traveled at night, showing unusual courage against the dangers of the dark. A volatile hive is discovered beneath Sobek's hut, with much of his belongings found in a cave below. Despite the dangerous nature of these hives, the needed herbs are recovered. News of Sobek's likely death is delivered, though it's accepted with a sense that dying this way carries no shame. Kyle is praised for his commitment to doing what's right and is told he will soon become part of the group. The scene shifts to delivering mail from a post office to various recipients, including Ilham, who receives a power bill, Polar, who gets a caring yet profane letter from his brother Tallow, and Sarah, who appreciates the momentary feeling of normalcy. A request is made to investigate a strange phenomenon in a field between two bridges. Upon arrival, a wrecked car is discovered along with signs of a huge demolisher standing in a field surrounded by an unusual mist similar to what was seen at a previous ceremony. This development is considered interesting by someone on the other end of the communication. A conversation reveals that the immunity to infection is achieved through an elixir that creates smoke, a temporary solution rather than a cure. A deal is proposed: find more of the elixir and a portion will be shared. Three brothers searching for the elixir lost contact while checking a cave, with suspicions that someone found it and fled. A message is sent to Lena about discovering something far better than Antizin, with plans to share it if it can be found. Despite time pressure, this opportunity can't be abandoned as it represents the best chance for everyone. At the cave, two dead brothers are found, with evidence suggesting Rize's thugs stole the goods. A request is made to check on Attila, an ethnographer working in the mother's mansion. Upon meeting, Attila initially thinks Kyle has come to kill him. Attila, who is dying from cancer, has abandoned the book project he was working on. Kyle offers to help with fieldwork and restores electricity to Attila's residence. Attila explains his research into traces of a sun god prophecy in local relics, something vital to the mother. Kyle is tasked with investigating 3 ancient monoliths and describing them to Attila. The first monolith shows figures, not ants as Kyle initially thought, praying to the sun, with one wearing a ritual mask. The second monolith is found underwater with remnants of a painting showing what might be a mask. The third monolith features a painting of a sun atop a mountain crossed with a zigzag pattern. These findings appear to be pieces of the prophecy Attila is researching for the mother. An adventure unfolds as Mr. Crane climbs to the Temple of the Sun at Attila's instruction. Despite the dangerous climb, Crane reaches the summit and discovers a monolith with a painting of a bloody blade. He finds a hole containing offerings, including a crucial red mask that Attila specifically requests he retrieve. Ancient prophecies are revealed about the god of the sun speaking through a chosen vessel who will pass through death to bring new life. Attila confirms the mask's significance, as it appears in paintings depicting the sun god or priests attempting to summon him. Attila thanks Crane and promises to contact him after documenting his findings. Attila leaves behind a recorded message explaining his history in Harran. He came as an ethnographer at the invitation of a colonel's wife and stayed through the outbreak. The colonel was bitten during evacuation attempts and entrusted Attila with something meant for his wife, referred to as the mother. Facing his own mortality, Attila passes this responsibility to Kyle. Crane discovers Attila has committed suicide wearing the red mask. The acolytes reveal Attila was terminally ill with brain cancer and had misinterpreted the prophecy, believing his suicide would allow the sun god to possess his body. They instruct Crane to take the mask and Attila's research to Jasir. Crane receives information about bandits at a granary, where he discovers the tortured Orkan. Before dying, Orkan mentions a lighthouse and hints about a cure. Crane resolves to investigate the lighthouse immediately, despite receiving an urgent call from Lena about a deteriorating situation elsewhere. At the lighthouse, Crane confronts Khan, who's working with Rize's bandits. After a violent confrontation, Crane learns the bandits are heading to the dam. Discovering most of the vials are gone, Crane rushes to warn others of the approaching danger. Crane encounters the mother, who reveals herself as the colonel's wife. She explains how the children of the sun were transformed from a forgotten tradition into a real movement after the outbreak. Bitten during evacuation, her husband gave her a cigarette case containing a map, key, and code that led to their current location. The mother reveals she drank from mysterious vials found in a locked container, which transformed her. In light, she maintains human consciousness and empathy, but in darkness, she becomes violent and killed her own followers. She believes prophecies point to Kyle as a chosen one who will make the ultimate sacrifice. The mother warns there is no medicinal cure. The mist they've been breathing is slowly transforming everyone. She explains that while drinking the liquid accelerates the transformation, even breathing the mist eventually causes metamorphosis into creatures like herself. She reveals the army built a failsafe to purify the region, but implementing it would sacrifice thousands. When asked what to do next, the response is cryptic: wake up the god of the sun. With an emotional plea to let this madness end, Kyle apparently enters the codes, triggering an emergency override that begins preparing nuclear warheads. The system initiates a countdown from 10 to 1, suggesting an imminent nuclear detonation that will fulfill the prophecy by destroying both the population and the plague.